Okay, people, it's going to be kind of a quick one. We're going to talk about China, their AI, their tech, their EVs, and why we shouldn't be going backwards when it comes to EVs. Let's get right into it.
Let's talk about DeepSeek because it is mind-blowing and it is shaking this entire industry to its core. The emergence of DeepSeek now putting pressure on the U.S. tech names. We told you all about it last week in Davos. The buzz started growing about DeepSeek's latest AI model being more efficient while running on a lot less advanced NVIDIA chips. Released last week, it's already being called what is a major breakthrough as the app shows its work, its reasoning. It answers users' prompts. I, by the way, was spent basically all weekend playing with it. It is the number one app, I believe, on Apple right now. The product overtaking ChatGPT today as that on the App Store that way. DeepSeek, which was created by a Chinese hedge fund manager, also capturing the attention of leaders, as we mentioned at the World Economic Forum last week in Davos.
We should take the development out of China very, very seriously.
What we found is that DeepSeek, which is the leading Chinese AI lab, their model is actually the top performing or roughly on par with the best American models.
If the United States can't lead in this technology, we're going to be in a very bad place geopolitically.
Now, you can take a look right now at the AI-related stocks. So NVIDIA, ARM, AMD, Microsoft, Meta, interestingly, on that list, given it's open source. We got to talk about the open source, closed source bit of this as well.
And then it's a shocker to see NVIDIA down by more than 12% right now.
Absolutely. And then you have global chip stocks also in the red across the board, ASML Holdings and others. There is the question, I will say, Alexander Wang made the point last week, and it's become sort of the question mark about all of this, which is, he suggested on our air that it is possible that they were using some of the highest performing NVIDIA chips, perhaps as many as 50,000 of them, to build this model. Now, and they weren't supposed to have those chips.
Right.
If
so
that's
the case,
true,
not the size.
The dynamic is different. Yeah. If it's not true, then maybe all bets are off. It's possible, by the way, even if it is true, meaning even if they use those chips to create this, or at least partially to create this, it is still a significantly more efficient and better model. I think everybody agrees that right this moment, I mean, I don't know if did you get to play? It is mind-blowing.
It looks really great. I mean, it feels like it's open source, so people can test this out themselves.
But I can tell you all the tests that I do just to see whether I think the writing is better, whether I think that it can answer certain questions. Yeah. I mean, it was not only faster, it was more human. The reasoning is shocking. I mean, there were moments where I was like, oh my God. We are so much. You could feel the step change as a person. I will also say, as exciting as it was, there was an element where I became scared because I thought, I had the opportunity to talk to all these people last week, and they all said the future is here, and and then you sort of see it, and you go, oh, okay, I feel you, in a different sort of visceral way. So yes, I think this is all happening at a level that when you mark your sort of AI history timeline in life, I think this past week, today, and everything else will be on it.
I think Mark Andreessen put it really succinctly and really smartly when he said that this feels like the Sputnik moment for the AI race, where China is really stepping in. So not just what it can do, but what it means for American dominance in AI, what it means for the Chinese being able to step in, and to have the Chinese actually open sourcing it, meaning that is going to be what goes around the world, and to have the cost factors that go into this. Huge step up and change, and puts us a little bit on our back foot in trying to figure out what this means. Well, I actually wonder, Satya Nadella, would he tell you again today that he's still good for the $80 billion?
I think they still are good for the $80 billion. I think actually I think the processing power issue is there's an element of which you're going to still have to have the current sort of efforts underway. I think the question longer term, I think it's a longer term question.
Can you recoup your investment? I mean, can you recoup your investment if that's the case?
Well, I think this is the big issue. And I think
who's going to pay for it if they get it?
At one point, and I don't know if we talked about it on Squawk or it might have been on Worldwide Exchange, one of the things that I was hearing that was fascinating out there is there were so many CEOs who were saying, you know what, I'm using OpenAI and I'm playing around with Anthropic to figure out what I need to do. And then, which is expensive for us, and we don't really love that. So we're playing around with what we need, and then we're trying to figure out how much of it we can replicate using Llama, which is the meta version of it, but it's open source and effectively, therefore, free.
Well, and you can have some control over it, too, as being open source. You can do things that you end up this way. You're not so beholden to OpenAI.
But to me, that's the issue. So here we have a situation where if people are already starting to move towards open source models, and I don't think that have been talked about publicly, really.
Right.
That's a whole kind of paradigm change.
Just back to the question on Microsoft. Microsoft shares down 6.8% this morning. Is there a point where Satya says, okay, maybe I'm not good for the $80 billion?
I don't know. I think he's still going to need this technology over the next 5 years. The question is, can he go? Is he going to start using DeepSeek? By the way, there's a separate question, which is, if we think we have a problem with TikTok.
I thought this instantaneously.
Right. If we think we have a problem with TikTok, do we have a problem with this? Now, interestingly, this is an open source model.
You can take it and do your own
You
stuff with
can put it on your own.
So they're not
computers.
owning unless there's something in it that we don't understand.
Right. They talk about Project Texas with.
But I thought the
you
same
can have
thing.
It on your own.
TikTok looks like poser's play compared to what this could potentially be. Although this is OpenAI, so you can take it and source it yourself and figure something out from it. So you're not storing.
Okay, people. This is why we can't be going willy-nilly every time a new president gets into office, one that can be controlled by a compliment like Donald Trump about culture war things. You're making important decisions over the environment while the environment is on fire. And you're going backwards and trying to help the environment. And why you would counsel, say you want to promote oil and gas, which they need no help. And you don't need to be cutting wind and solar. It makes no sense. It's really stupid, Don't stop helping wind and solar. Wind and solar, they're free, for one thing. So promote how they're being, produced. But even with that, we can't go backwards on these things. Like even Norway. Norway is a cold country. But they're like 80% EVs now. Almost every new car bought is an EV. 60% of the cars on their roads are EVs. Their number one export is oil. But they're wise enough to know, hey, we need to keep our air clean. We need to do what's right for our country. We can still export oil and make money. You go to a Circle K in Norway, in Oslo, in Norway, or in any city in Norway, it's full of EV chargers. All around. Tesla chargers, every kind of charger. And the only reason we're doing stupid stuff is because the oil industry is in the pockets of the right wing, the Republicans, and a lot of this is just culture war stuff. And they're just fighting EVs to the end, even when it hurts the country. China is so far ahead of us in EVs. BYD, NIO, and companies like this, dude, they caught up, then they leaked us. They're killing us. They're doing the right thing actually for their environment. At times you can't even see in cities. You're talking about smog, which we know is actually real, and we actually do affect the environment, because when California started passing its policies to help the environment, it actually made a difference. I know, because I'm from Southern California. I've seen the difference in the air. There were days, and sunny days, look straight up in the sky, and you see no clouds, totally blue. But you look in front of you, you know this big giant mountain range is like 10 miles away, and you can barely see it. Even though there's not a cloud in the sky and it's 80 degrees. And now we have a lot less days like that. And China has also made those improvements. You should drive one of their EVs if we could get them over here. Another stupid policy. But that's why we need to catch up. The European countries, and especially China, they're killing us with EVs. They're killing us with tech, like DeepSeek. This thing is leaps and bounds better. People, we can't be doing things for stupid reasons. Stupid, old-time, backwards cultural war reasons. We have to catch up and electric vehicles and the other tech and Huawei. That's what China does. Let's take advantage. Let Huawei in and see how they're ahead of us, and let's take advantage and steal some of their stuff. Not just banning everything. You know, the phones weren't going to be that we were supposed to get from Huawei. I mean, the everyday person's, their phone, you know, keep it out of the government people's hands. But you could have let the everyday person buy Huawei phones. They're awesome phones. I tell you, man, we've got to do something about right-wing media. They're the number one problem of why we're in this situation. That's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching.